I think it's unfair on Rashford, that, massively.
What?
Not playing him.
Why?
The geezer has been looking to score goals and he's been getting hammered for 12 months about him being inconsistent, he's not running, blah, blah, blah. The minute he scored 3 and 2, whether it's Barnsley or not, he drops him. Like rotation, they've got a game against FC20, all due respect. Is the league not a priority?
Yeah, no, listen, I agree. When you put it like that, I think that for a player who I think the club deem in terms of an investment as their most lucrative player, their star man, or actually one of it, at least, and you see him coming into some sort of form and you think, you know what, he's been searching for some form for like, how long now? Over a year probably. And he starts to get into a little rhythm and then you take him out and it's just like, maybe handle the situation. I think the media side of it, if that had come out and said rotation in the press conference on the Friday, it might have kind of quashed any rumours to bring it into some negative kind of area. But I think the media probably wasn't handled as well as it could have been maybe. Hello and welcome to this episode of Rio Presents. Listen guys, every week on this pod, I'm going to make a call to one of my friends, ex-teammate, someone I played against, someone in the game, to come and sit here and talk to me about the biggest things that have gone on in the game over the weekend. Mr. Joel Bayer is not here this week, and there's a little inquiry into it because it's a massive week for his team. But I've gone into my phone book, I've called one of my pals, got a couple of businesses together, played against each other, come through the same academy, Mr. Mark Noble, the West Ham legend himself. The biggest game of the weekend was City versus Arsenal, and listen, you'd have been there, up against it, up against one of Pep's teams, backs against the wall. How would you get through something like that?
We played, it was me and Declan played sort of wide as a midfield 2 in front of our back 4, and because of David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne.
Out of possession, this is, yeah?
Out of possession, yeah. You don't have a lot of possession.
Who was a manager?
It was David Moyes, and we played wide as a 2, and I remember it was like 25 minutes in, and Kevin was getting frustrated. He wasn't getting much of the ball, and it was containing them, but we was sort of camped sort of thing, but we was counter-attacking and we was doing all right. And I remember standing there and the board gone out of play, and Pep shouted onto Kevin, and he just said like...
De Bruyne, obviously. Yeah.
Kevin De Bruyne, sorry, yeah, and said, Kevin, 10, drop 10 deeper, right? So now I've got a decision to make, like, because I'm actually marking no one now. So, but I can't leave my centre half there. So De Bruyne drops 10 yards deeper, which gives me a decision. Now I'm thinking I can't really get there, because if I get there I'm in no man's land, because then they slap it into the striker. It completely changed the game. 10 yards.
Just a detail.
10 yards in a game completely changed the outlook, and I think we ended up losing 2-0, which actually ain't a bad result at their place. But
it's weird when you look at yesterday, isn't it? You look at the game yesterday, and everyone's shouting at the screen for the second half when Arsenal camped back in, and everyone's going, Diaz is having more touches than anyone else in the midfield area where someone like De Bruyne would be. And he went and I see that on the TV, there's a stoppage, and he pulled Foden and Kovacic, and he said Foden in the number 10 position and get the ball. And that wasn't the way they scored, but again, it's just a little tweak, and Jack Grealish coming off the left-hand side was a big difference.
I've had it playing against you at Old Trafford years ago. It's not. You're not physically at 80, 90 minutes. You're not physically. You're fit. You know. You're a bit fatigued, but mentally, when it's the 2-yarders and your centre halves are shouting you over your right shoulder, left shoulder, and then covering space. It's like constant for 90 minutes, and then and that's why you see after extra time maybe a lot of games where there's a slight lack of concentration, and they get a winner or an equaliser, because they make you think so much. And that just in that game with Kevin De Bruyne, when he dropped 10 yards deeper, then it makes you think, and you don't want to leave your centre half, and he's saying obviously he wants protecting, don't go anywhere. Where you going? No, stop. What are you going there for? And obviously once Kevin can get on the ball and start playing, it becomes really different.
It reminds me of like the stress levels of a footballer in them moments. Like, I was lucky I was on the good end of that most of the time, but the stress levels we played against Barcelona, the great Pep Guardiola team, when they beat us in the Champions League final, that side-to-side movement, just probing possession all game. Like you say, physically you're fine.
You ain't really. You come off and you see the stats compared to an open game, and you ain't really moved.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're making little 5-yard runs, and you going there, and then you come off and you've done like, I don't know, 10.5K. But the week before you've done like 13 again, because it's more of a football match. Whereas there you got to sit in front of your box, and when you got like. You got Declan and you got Partey sitting there. They know the game, and it's very hard to break down, as you say, with the two centre halves they got are unbelievable. But that's why they're champions, because somehow they find a way.
Also, it's that character. They ain't champions 4 years on a spin without having to work and roll their sleeves up at times. You know what I mean? The way that they just stayed in the game, thought, you know what, we're going to probe. The chance will come our way. Obviously, it fell to John Stones, but. I saw the thing with Micah Richards and Roy Keane after the game, and I was actually with Roy because I was thinking, like, I don't know if it was a masterclass. I just thought they defended. There was resolute, which is fine. 10 men behind the ball. We've seen people and teams do that before.
Do you not think sometimes it's easier?
Yeah,
because you ain't got a choice.
You ain't got to think.
No, you don't. You know it's gonna. You know you're sitting with a. Whether it's a 4-4, whatever, 4-4-1, or you're 4-5, yeah,
that's it.
That's it. You haven't got a choice. You can't open up and play like you would with 11 players. So. You've got to defend your box, and you've done it in training. I've done it for hours in training where you go, right, you try and break us down.
6 against 4.
It's near on impossible.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
it's normally long shots.
Because you know your job, you know you ain't got to go forward, you know you sit there, you clear it, and then you go, come on in, there's another wave of attack. But look, listen, I think for Arsenal, what a great result. And they've actually had a tough start, and to go there to get a point, especially with 10 men for like, what was it, 35 minutes is a great result. Yeah,
and I think the way City played, I thought City played into their hands. Not much width, no overlaps or underlaps, as Roy Keane said. I agreed with him on that tactical side of things. And the moment Jack came on and he was playing a bit wider and drawing people out, just before the corner for the goal, he took the fullback on, and we hadn't seen a winger really go past anyone in the whole game. And
I know it's hard, it's because of what you do on TV. Obviously, I don't. By the way, I only decided to do this because he had Ronaldo and Becks on before this. So how can I say no? So I don't really do it. Yeah, I don't really do a lot of TV and stuff, and because of working at the club. But when I sit there and you question, you don't question, but you have to because it's your job, and all the other boys on TV. But you look at Pep and you go, oh, did he do this? Why didn't he do that? And you're like.
Can you really say that?
Can you say it really? I know you've got to do airtime and stuff, but like the Peps of this world, can you question? Look, listen, we're not perfect. Sometimes he might get a decision wrong, but you look at his history and he normally gets it right.
No, and I think that's probably one of the only times I've looked at other than his first year when you were saying, right, he ain't understanding about second balls and stuff like that, and they were getting picked off a little bit like that. But since then, he's almost near perfect.
But do you not think, we were just talking about it off air, and you go, like, I watch our academy probably every week, A team. I train with them. I watch my son play, and I'm like, he has completely changed the way academies are played across the country. Yeah. Not only in Premier League Cat A, I'm talking like every league, because I'm watching some of our teams now in the academy.
And teams you play against as well.
Correct. Fullbacks rolling inside. Like, do you remember he first done it? And I'm like watching, going, wow, what is going on? He's playing in centre mid.
It was like Kimmich and that, wasn't it? Bayern started doing it.
What is going on? And then I see our under 16s doing it and our under 17s, and it's like,
it's mad that. Imagine our fullbacks when we were growing up in our youth teams going, I'm going to roll into midfield
really,
for a spell.
Sometimes, and you have to speak to our coaches about it sometimes. Sometimes it's a little bit of an ego thing because the boys actually are not comfortable doing it. It's okay asking Kimmich and Zivchenko and Rico Lewis and these boys doing it because they're the best in the world. But to ask the kid that's only ever played left back or right back for 5 years, and listen, let me tell you now, I don't know if you've ever done it,
no,
but
I didn't want to be in there.
To be in the centre of the pitch, and it's like you've got bodies all around you, and the game's moving at 100 miles an hour, and the picture changes every second.
Left backs and centre halves ain't got wing mirrors. We don't have wing mirrors to know what's behind us.
No,
Do you know what I mean?
but and then all of a sudden he finds himself receiving it off his centre half in the midfield and like having to turn on the ball, and you got like
someone up, right,
someone coming. Like it's so hard, and I watch it and I'm like, he's just done that 4 times in a row, and you've lost it 4 times. Like if that was Tony Carr, he would.
No.
He'd get you in the headlock and burn your head.
Yeah, and Jimmy Frith booting you up the arse as well.
Going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you stupid? Why would you do that 4 times in a row?
That's Pep though, because Pep's team do that. They don't play it any other way.
Some of it, sometimes you watch it and it's beautiful to watch. I loved the game of football. I really do, but especially academy wise, because I'm close to the academy, I think sometimes it's teaching the boys actually bad habits, because really, unless you play for Manchester City, Trent with Liverpool at times, I think he's the only one that does it. Yeah. No one else really does it today.
No. And you can't, just because they do it, think, we can do it. Sometimes, look at the players you got. Can they do that? That's it. Do you know what I mean? If you ain't got the players to do it, don't keep trying to do it.
Even me, really, I played when Gianfranco come to West Ham as our manager, and I'd always played like a 6 or an 8 really, and I was still quite young. And he's seen me play, and he's like, "Oh, you can play 10 with your back to goal and get in the hole." Mate, I was like a fish up a tree. I was like, wow, I'm back to goal. Ball's getting received, like centre out. I was like...
Did you go to him and say, listen, boss, this ain't for me? Or
no, I sort of developed a way where I dropped off a tiny little bit deeper, and I was sort of tried to get on the half turn more, but I didn't really feel comfortable. I always wanted the game in front of me. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't my sort of game, and there was times where you got away with it because you had so much of the ball and it was a little bit easier. But
what was the kind of conversation Zola had with you when he asked you to do that?
Yeah, because we played it. He come in and he wanted to play a diamond, and it was me, Scotty, Valon Brahmi, and Jack Collison, and he sort of gave me sort of a free role but playing it as a 10. And there was times like I remember playing Burnley away, playing there in a 10, and they was like up and at you at the time. There was no space really. I'm trying to get in space, but he's telling me to stay in the hole. You know, like probably 30 minutes went by. I probably had 2 touches, which I set it back to a midfield player. You know what I mean? And normally I was used to getting on the ball and playing balls through. I was like, oh, this is rubbish. I hate it. But obviously he could see me playing there, but it was not something I really enjoyed.
Just going back to the City game, and Haaland talking about players, like great players that come in this league and like set it alight, and the consistency, the amount of goals. He's just equalled Ronaldo's record of like 105 games. It's took him to reach 100 goals. It's like ridiculous. 2 years quicker than Ronaldo in terms of age, sorry. But what's your honest appraisal of someone like Haaland, what he's done so far?
He's just so hungry to score goals, really. And you know what? One of his biggest assets is he actually ain't really worried about getting involved in the play. Do you know what I mean? Like the goal last week he scored. I'm trying to forgot what team it was against, but I think Edson played a long ball, and he's watching it, and he see the defender, and he just blocked him, bumped him from behind. Do you know what I mean? Like as in when. Let the ball run past him. He bumped the defender and he was in on goal, scored, chipped it over the goalie, whatever. But he's just relentless in his pursuit of like being in the right place at the right time. Do you know what I mean? Like Harry, say for instance, Harry Kane is an incredible football goal scorer, but sometimes you see him drop back, play through balls. So Haaland's like not interested. Get me in the box. I want to be on the end of a through ball. I ain't playing no through balls. And you can see his happiness just to score goals. It's frightening.
I think it's a big thing for him yesterday to score against Arsenal, because he's not struggled, but he ain't looked like a real threat in those games, or hasn't executed. And for a striker, I think that would probably play on his mind a little bit going into that. I've got to get a goal against one of the big guys, or this centre-back pairing everyone's talking about. I think for him to get that goal was like almost like the monkey off his back, and he's like, right, in them big games now, you'll see him come alive even more. So he's going to score even more goals.
And to be honest, for him as well, for Haaland, in the way City have played, especially when I played against them, where they sort of the 8 and the sort of 10 played, and obviously you had Rodri or whoever it was, Fernandinho, and they slapped it into the front man, and he set it off to one of the 10 or the 8, and it was like something they'd done every time. Whereas where he's so good, they sort of half changed that because he doesn't really want to come and get involved. Obviously, he's strong, but he doesn't really want to do that. And to go and like, it shows you what a player he is for Pep to actually acknowledge that and go, do you know what? Just like, we'll find him in the box and he'll score. Do you know what I mean?
It's a joke. I love it. I love seeing it. I don't love City, obviously, but I like just seeing quality at work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but and also, Ree, like you look at it and you go, whether I'm watching a City game or I'm not, and you hear City have scored, it's just like, you just think Haaland, don't you? Like that's such a, you think of the goals he scores every season. What, I don't know how many goals are equivalent to points, but if he scores 30, 35 goals, it's probably going to be the difference between first and second, or 5 or 6 points. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. And you know, even this game, did you agree with the red card, by the way? I thought it was a red.
Yeah,
a yellow. I thought it was a yellow to make it a red.
I mean, I don't really know, to be honest, mate. I like, you look at the Declan's one a few weeks ago, and
that was shambles.
I just don't know. I don't know.
I think as players, you always know if you kick the ball after the whistle's blown, you're going in line to get a booking. Maybe. Do you know what I mean? There's not, more often than not, you get a booking. That's why I was a bit like miffed with like the way that the reaction of Arsenal's manager a little bit. Thinking, you know what it's like, but he's maybe creating a little narrative for his team that a little bit hard done by, keep them hungry, keep them going. So
I think it's actually, in a way, people don't like it. I think it's actually very clever to keep like team spirit, like they're against us, and all that
siege mentality.
You've probably had it yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
But you love seeing two top teams go at it and technically and see the manager's tactics and all that. But then something like that, you think, like, ruins the game.
Do you know? I know some people say you shouldn't say it, but you know, like the little bit of like rough and tumble, a bit arguing. Haaland throwing the ball at Gabriel's head, like
it was funny, wasn't it?
Mate, I was cracking up, seriously.
It was so funny.
But I want that. I was there with my kids going, this is football. Yeah. This is the entertainment, the extra part of the game I love.
Actually, this morning, it was like, it was a real, it was actually a little bit like a United Arsenal game.
Yeah, back in the day.
It was, yeah.
No, but I just think that the game was it's not vanilla, but the game was a bit too like, everyone's towing the line too much. Do you know what? There's so many cameras.
Do you know what?
I want to see a fight in a tunnel. I'm sorry, I do. WWE, UFC fights.
No, but really, do you know, like, sometimes I think you can't, like, some of the tackles I used to make, but not on purpose, like,
I remember some of them.
Not on purpose, just obviously I was a bit slow, I'm like, I'm gone. VAR now, I'm done. I'm gone, like 20 minutes in. Do you know, like, you like set your stall out early.
Leave one on someone.
I was done. Like, I used to, like, even
was
like,
that what you used to do? Like, think that if there's danger player in my area, I've got to get him early, hit him early.
Yeah, just like, I don't know. It was just like, if it was there at like sort of half in my 50-50 sort of thing, it was probably 70-30 to them, but I thought it was 50-50. And then, but you're gone, and you can't do that and leave your team in the shit. Do you know what I mean? Like,
bang in trouble.
You can't do that anymore.
Did you have any in the tunnel? Any decent funny stories about it going off in the tunnel?
I remember at Upton Park. You know, the tunnel at Upton Park.
It's tight, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Anton was involved actually. I remember it went off against, I think it was like Preston. I was only like made it. You had Marl and all the big boys. I was like a skinny little extra large shirt on. It was down there. Just like looking at it all, and then all of a sudden, like, it cleared, and our doctor was just Kippo on the floor.
The doctor?
Someone slid him. I swear. It was like a sando on the floor. Yeah, but
smelling sauce for the doctor.
Do you know what? To this day, I don't think no one knows who done it.
No way.
I swear, he was the doc as well. He was out.
Was someone patting him down? Where's the aspirin? Hold on.
Asked Anton. It was so funny. Yeah, and he won't come round in the dressing room. We're all buzzing.
Who hit me?
The doctor's where he's supposed to be helping people.
I don't want to sound like I'm trying to entice that type of thing, but it does add something else to it. I always think that, and if the fans get up, and it just adds a little other different narrative other than the game. Also, set pieces becoming like Arsenal were like masters right now.
Mate, do you know what though? See, Gabriel. His hunger level to get his head on the ball is
It reminds you of Vidic a little bit.
Yeah, really, he's just like
in the opposing box.
Obsessive with it.
His movement
I mean?
was sharper in their box than it was in his own box. And that's normally the wrong way around.
You know, the only obviously live, the only person I've seen that do that is Big Andy. Like,
Andy Carroll.
Yeah, because even in training at times where balls would be swung in and you just like, you're in the box and you hear Andy's ball and you know at some point like he's coming over the top with an elbow or a knee in your back and you know like he never really felt the pain that you felt when he hit you, do you know what I mean? And it was just the levels of to get his head on the ball. I think you've got to have like that no fear sort of, but they're Arsenal. And I think that the delivery where they just sort of like drift it in, do you know what I mean, towards the goal is they're so good at it.
Did your teams, was any managers like bang on, like big on set pieces? Because we at United, I said on the pod the other day, we don't even, at United, I think we must have done it only for Stoke, preparing for Stoke, we done set pieces against us. Everyone else never done set pieces. I spoke to the fellow who does it at Aston Villa, and they scored one the other day. Tielemans, I think, scored against Young Boys. And I think they spend about 2.5 hours a week on set pieces.
Yeah, Moisey was like that though.
Was he?
Yeah, David was like that. Yeah, he was. And we at one point our set plays were a massive part of our game. Like especially in Europe where you had like Dawson, Kurt, like they were
aggressive.
They were aggressive, and obviously Big Sam. I had Big Sam who was massive on set plays. Loved it. Yeah. And you have a look at how many goals actually now, even for the top teams, are scored off set plays is outrageous.
It's like 30 something. It's like almost a third of goals.
It's mad.
Isn't it?
It's mad. If you see the set plays that get scored, like Arsenal, obviously the top one of the top teams at it now. You would have never put Arsenal and set plays together.
No chance.
Do you know what I mean?
No chance.
So,
but I look at their centre halves. I talk about Gabriel, and you think like he's been brilliant this season and last season. And Saliba. What makes them one of a great centre partnership? They have to win a league. Do you think? Because I think I see Saliba. Okay. Saliba said this about himself personally.
As in what makes them. Because what I was going to say is what makes them top to play. Well, to watch and obviously hard because they back themselves 1v1. Like they play so high up the pitch and Arsenal can press you in and they go, all right, sweet. If it's a 1v1 battle, we'll take it. Which for a midfielder is unbelievable. But as in a great partnership, I don't know. Yeah, maybe winning. I think look, to win a league when City are in the league is.
That's the hardest thing.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's tough. When you boys was dominant, it's so tough to break that. And at some point the cycle will change. Of course, it always does, and they will. But
I think they will this year, you know.
I think a big outcome will be what happens with City.
You think City need to drop off rather than?
Well, not even that. With all this court case and all that stuff, I don't know how it works, but I think Haaland's such a problem.
Yeah, he's just.
I think the goals are such a problem.
I just hope that when they do deduct the points, they do retro, like they go back. I might get another medal. You don't think it happened? I'm looking at another medal.
Are you?
Yeah. They done it when it was us. They done it with us. If they get found guilty, it goes back to my time. I'm sure it must do. No?
I can't see it, Geese.
No?
I think you're clutching at straws.
All right. I'm a bit
greedy
desperate.
anyway.
It's greedy. Yeah, it's greedy. It's greedy. You know what? We was on there last time on the pod
I
talking
might get
about
3 points back or something.
Actually, yeah. Shall I leave it? We're going to leave that. I have to stop the dreaming. Yeah. But we were speaking about confidence and for a player, how big it is.
Oh, massive. Massive.
And obviously Rashford got dropped at the weekend, or rotation, as the manager said. When you're looking at their team, well, how would you deal with rotation? Because rotation is a massive thing in the game now. Teams are getting rotated, players are understanding of it, and it doesn't seem like players are going in and going, hold on, am I not playing? Because in our time, if you weren't playing, if you got pulled out of the team, boss, can you explain that to me, please? Well, I think now it's a bit more like, I get it. Was you ever dropped and rotated?
Yeah, probably a couple of times. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, but I didn't accept it. If I'm honest with you,
I didn't think so either.
Yeah, like
what, was you straight onto the door, like boss?
Yeah, I can't. I think. Yeah, do you know what? I think one time under Sam, I got a kick on my Achilles, and then I didn't train at all, and then I played. We beat Newcastle. I didn't know whether I got stitched up by the physio or whatever, but I was in pain. But I took tablets and played. We won 1-0 at home. And you know when you're like, I got through that for the team and all that stuff. And then we had a game 3 days later, and Big Sam was like, I'm not going to play. And I'm like, what? But I hadn't trained on a Monday or Tuesday either, so I was being arrogant, if anything.
Yeah.
I know it happens now, but do you rotate Declan Rice for a Premier League game?
No chance.
Do you rotate Rodri?
It's normally the wingers, isn't it? The wingers, the fullbacks maybe get a bit
because
of rotation.
they've got a. When you think of the wingers, they've got to produce, isn't you? Assists or goals, like it is what it is. But for me, I want enjoy being rotated.
Talking of like rotations and stuff, I'm looking at that scenario, and following the game against Palace, Man United are third in terms of XG, only bettered by like City and Liverpool. So they're creating the chances, you're just not scoring the goals. And when you've got a man in form like Marcus Rashford, who's coming into a bit of form, bit of momentum, which is always key with any player and confidence, I'm thinking, is it the right time now to rotate? When if chances are coming our way and we're creating them, we've got someone who actually in the team starting to score, and you take him out. I just look at that and think, wow. And you know what's nice? It was pleasing that the manager did come out and just say, listen, it was rotation, nothing else, because there was starting to be a few like murmurings around like, oh, it's his lifestyle, it's this. I think he got a bad question in the press conference. I think maybe they could have handled the question a bit better, or maybe just batted the question off without even having to answer. But Marcus Rashford, man, I think him as a player, I think he'll be sitting there going, right, I've just hit a bit of form and they took me out. Wow, it confuses me. Confusing. But then you're sitting there and you're going, one of the most productive players or person who causes havoc when he comes on the pitch is Garnacho. So, and Dalot's played well. Ahmad Dalot's played really well this season. So it ain't like he's, I don't know, man. It's a hard one, isn't it? You know, confidence, because we talked about it quite a lot. I think it's such a big thing for young players, especially the young people that do listen or watch this. Is how do you get yourself through a period of low confidence when you're playing?
Just pure, I'd say just pure basics. Honestly, when people talk about confidence, I don't know whether you had it.
Everyone's had it, I'm sure.
When my confidence was low or whatever, mate, a pass to me and you was like a 50-yard dive. Like sometimes you go, wow, thank God they got there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then when you was confident, like one would bounce up on the half volley and you go zing across the pitch and you wouldn't even think about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, or like it was just it was like confidence was like autopilot. Like you just got through a game. It was easy. Like ball coming to you, flick it around the corner, get it back, and you're like, you watch it back, go, God, that was all right. That. When
was you at your lowest confidence? Was there a point in your career you remember that sticks out and you go, wow, that was a bad time, bad moment now?
Probably that when I just said under Gianfranco, that Burnley away game. Honestly, mate, I was like so bad. I was playing in the 10 and I didn't enjoy it. That was no excuse because you can still do the basics right, but my confidence was so low. And I just everything was so hard. Like the ball coming in, you know when the ball comes into you and you're like, normally you play around the corner, or you know exactly what you do with it, but everything just felt hard.
Having to think,
think, and you see the obviously everyone goes through it. Every player goes through it. But for me, the confidence.
Did anyone help you? Or?
Yeah, I used a sports psychologist that was unreal. Not as in, but I used to have a chat with him like before and after games and just go through the game sort of thing. And at first, I was probably a little bit like arrogant to doing that sort of thing, and then he'd never played, or he wouldn't tell me what I was doing wrong. He'd just give me tools to like, just sort of, if you had done something, made a mistake or just bin it right, like, do you know, like
move on.
Yeah, just like and prepare for every game, sort of, and it helped me massively.
What, prepare for things going wrong, or
just on the pitch, you know, like, do you know, like you probably see it, like you've seen it with players on the pitch, but you've already probably seen it in the academy with your boy or whatever, where you make a bad pass and then what do you do after that? Do you try and dig yourself out an hole and make another? Because what I used to do, really, because I was so enthusiastic as a player and I wanted to play well and I loved West Ham and I wanted to do well every minute. Say if I wasn't having a good game, I'd run in positions like to try and like create something or whatever, but I was like running in the worst positions ever. Do you know what I mean? I was making things worse for myself instead of, whereas as I got older and learned, I'd be like, sweet, like, I'll just give it away. What next one's gonna, and it completely changed. You know what I mean?
That's mad, isn't it? Because that's exactly what I used to think when I was a kid as well. I've got to do something special now because I've made one mistake.
Exactly that. Exactly that. I always say, to my son now, who's going through a real growth spell, and he's 13 or 14. And don't quite know.
Edit that one out.
I think he's 14. Anyway, and he's going through a growth spell, and he's got sore knees and sore heels and all that, and he can't really run at the minute. And I say to him, Len, just don't do anything you can't do. Do you know what I mean? Just keep it simple. Do the things you can do the things you're comfortable with, and then when it balances out and you become stronger, everything you can't do will become easy because you've already been through the tough spell. You know what I mean? And I say that to all the academy boys who are struggling with confidence. Everyone goes through it, but in truth, from what I've seen in my career and what I've seen in growing up in the academy and watching now, it's the best players that cope with it the best. Like the ones that play at the top level, as in Premier League level, cope with the pressure and not playing well the best. Just forget about it Monday morning, they're back again, and then they'll have a great game on a Saturday. Do you know what I mean? The ones that fall off and start blaming everyone. Because how many times I always say, how many
parents
times,
as well do that.
The parents are the worst. But how many times do you see a player? I mean, even at Premier League level, go into a manager and go, I'm having one at the minute. Like, you might have to take me out. It's always someone else's fault, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's the manager's fault or the training's fault or
the wind's blowing the wrong way.
They never go in and say, do you know what? My confidence is low. Like I can't. I'm not playing well at the minute. I need a week off to. They don't do it.
No.
Because it's an ego thing. Like you never. Managers don't have to make that decision. As soon as they get dropped because they're not playing well, they blame the manager. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just always the way it is.
What are you like as a parent? Because you've spoke about Lenny, your boy, playing at the academy. Are you one of those parents that the ones you don't like who are going into the manager if he doesn't play, or are you bang on Lenny when he's finished the game? You were rubbish today. No Sunday roast for you now, and or what?
No. Do you know what? For me, the most important thing is because I just stand on my own in the corner of a game and watch it, and when we just driving home in the car or whatever after. And I asked him questions about what. The most important for me is that he understands what was the mistakes. Because if he comes off and he'd had an okay game and he's going to me, oh Dad, I was unreal. What about that? I'd be like, little bit. He's a bit deluded, but as in when he goes, do you know the one that come into me and I had too many touches and I should have just played it round the corner to the front man.
You're loving that.
I get that he knows what he's done wrong. Do you know what I mean? And he can learn from that. But if he was like, come into me and I stepped over it and that pass, I'll be like, he's way off it.
I always think as well with the young kids, any academy player or even young players that are trying to get in academies, like you said, the ones that deal with a disappointment best and quickest are the ones that are going to have long careers in 100%. The game. Definitely. It's mad. So that brings me on nicely, actually, to your career, where you're doing now. Tell us what you're actually up to at the minute.
Obviously, I'm the sporting director at West Ham, so because I come through the academy and I know what it takes, I know how hard it is, I actually really love that side of things, because really, like, it's so hard now to make it to especially to be a pro. But
is it harder now than when you come through?
100%.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
I just think the standard and the I think look, listen, if we're talking Premier League, for players now getting debuts and coming in the team young, is so much harder because of the squads now. Like, you look at West Ham's first team, we've probably got 2 international players for every position, and that's West Ham. Do you know what I mean? Like,
you know, when you look at your role at West Ham, like what's the remit for someone like you in your position now? Is it to help bring through young players into the first team? Or?
Yeah, especially to know every young player that we've got, to know the capabilities of them, to know that to get them signed early.
That's a massive thing, you know.
It's a massive thing.
I always think about it at West Ham, but also at Man United. You're a legend. There's a lot of that word gets bandied about quite a lot of football clubs. Oh, he's a legend, but at West Ham, you're a certified legend, right? And for Mark Noble to walk around the academy and know the name of Little Leon or Little Jack, that is mind blowing for a kid. And that what that says and it signals to the rest of the kids in that academy is a massive thing. But also it brings the togetherness, the family vibe that's always been at West Ham.
Yeah, correct. And that's key. Like, not every one of our academy boys are going to make it. I think everyone knows that. Probably 95% of them won't have a career. But the main focus that we put on our boys, and that leads from Kenny Brown, who's our academy manager, downwards, is that they leave as better kids. No matter what age they leave at, they leave respectful. They have to shake their parents' hands when they have to shake a member of staff's hands when they see them. They clean the change rooms after every game.
You're big on that,
yeah, of course. Especially no matter how you get on. We got I'm not ashamed to say it. We got a photograph and a picture and a message from Academies, Leicester City's academy manager, the weekend. That all our teams that were played there left the change room spotless, no matter what the result was. And it's just, look, Ree, we have cleaners and staff that have worked at our place for 30 years, right? And to walk in the dressing room and have mud and drink bottles and empty drinks everywhere. It's like we have to leave it the way we found it. So and that's so important.
I like that. It's like, I don't know, it leaves it's a great reflection on the club, but also people like yourself that are running it, but most importantly, the boys who are going through the different clubs, and it's a good reputational thing as well for the club.
And it gives them a bit of ownership. They have to, we provide brooms and cleaning stuff for the coaches, because I'll put the ownership on the coaches, like they have to lead it. They have to say, right, boys, we're doing this today. And all of a sudden it becomes natural. Like our young 21s or 18s travel with a first team or go on away games, and you'll see after the games that they're tidying up the dressing room. Right, just because it's ingrained in them already. Do you know what I mean?
We used to do that. I used to do the away dressing room sometimes. But
they're not told.
Is it? No, you used to have to tell me.
Yeah,
I ain't ashamed to say it. I remember I used to have to change at Upton Park. I used to have to wait for the away team. It's like the night game on a Wednesday at Upton Park. I remember Man United actually were the away team, and teams take long, don't they? And I'm thinking, looking at my watch, thinking, right, the last train's coming up. But I'd have made the mistake. I knocked on the door and said, "Listen to the kit man, mate. I've got to get my train home. Like, how long are you going to be?" And I just got volleyed out the room, screaming and shouting.
Yeah. Another thing I was going to say though, sorry, to go back on academy. I was talking about this point the other day, and with the likes of yourself and Joe Cole, and see now, really at the age of 15, Joe wouldn't have still been at West Ham.
Yeah, Chelsea, Man City, that are buying a minute.
Same as yourself. Like, even to a degree, myself. Like when you're playing and you're playing in international tournaments at 15, and you're playing. So
how difficult is that for you in your role as someone who's leading the academy?
To a point, we have no choice.
So you got to sell them.
If they turn down a scholar, we have to. In academies now, and I'm open to say this. If we have a real top player, we have to offer them a scholarship at 14 years of age. Because if we don't, we're not protected really by
the governance and that.
Yeah. So, say for instance, we don't offer them a scholar at 14. Then there's a set sort of price. I think it's like £250,000 or something. And then we have no choice. If they turn down a scholar, they just leave.
14-year-olds are going for £250,000.
No, way more.
More?
Way more. Yeah, we've done two for more than that. I can't say the fees, but that is just
we
the way.
need to be reincarnated, man, and go again.
But my point is, like, the best players in the country now, and you can see because of Brexit, I think it changed it a lot. The big clubs are just
sweeping up.
Yeah, it's a massive operation. There's only a few clubs that can do it.
So how do you keep the best players then? If there's,
do you know what? If I'm honest with you, it's so hard for every club now. It's so hard to keep the best young players. My personal view is if you give a kid a scholarship, so he knows he's got a job at 14, he's got 2 years left at school. Remember, what's the kid gonna do? He ain't gonna try hard, is he?
No, not at
at
all.
school, especially.
Yeah, no.
He knows he's got a job. He knows he's going to be took on. It's
hard,
the,
isn't it?
Yeah, but it's the way it is. There's nothing. That is the system at the minute.
Do you think the best young players of our generation still come through today?
In truth, the likes of yourself and, as I said, Joe obviously was
Crazy.
Yeah, mad. Like when say, for instance, he was coming through now as a 14, 15-year-old, and he went to Manchester City. Would his pathway been a lot harder now? I'm talking this
100%.
to get into the first team.
Yeah, 100%.
At West Ham, he was like, I don't know, who was it, Harry or Glenn?
Harry
just couldn't wait to get him in, could he? I think
Harry.
he would have played him
Harry?
at 14 if he could. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, mate, it might have been Glenn, but I don't know, one of them. And he didn't. It's not like he had like Kevin De Bruyne in the way. Do you know what I mean? He had like Al Berkovic or someone like that.
But even me, I was 15, and I just finished Friday at school. It was half term, so I had a week off. Obviously we didn't have money at the time, so we didn't go on holiday or anything. And then Glen Road.
Where did you go? Margate and that? Where did you go?
Mate, just Beckton, Beckton Park fishing. But Glenn Roeder rang my house, was the West Ham manager at the time, and he was like, Mr. Noble, I'd like to bring.
He called you
Mark
Mister?
in.
Oh, your dad.
Okay.
Yeah,
not me. I'd like to bring Mark in and train with the first team for the next week. I was obviously quite well thought of in the academy, and
that's a mad call, that, isn't it?
Mate, I remember training with Paolo, with Joe, with Michael, and like thinking, wow, this is unreal. I was 15. Do you know what I mean? Like, what an experience that was for me.
Oh, them days are like
in the gym, with Trevor Sinks and all that.
Do you play what's the thing, the goal to goal thing? The
D game.
D's. You play D's?
Yeah.
Oh, I still love that. I'd go back to that now.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I was looking at some of the people that you've been around. It's mad. Even the people that you've worked with. And I looked at a list before, and in terms of what they're doing, Edin Sertic, he was the assistant to Bilic when I came and trained with you once.
Yeah.
When he was there, and he stood out even then. Enzo Maresca, the Chelsea manager now. Scott Parker, Gary O'Neill, they both played with you at West Ham.
Yeah.
He said, did you see the management in these guys?
Gary O'Neill, the least, if I'm honest with you. Yeah, he loved golf at the time when we played together. So I just thought he was just going to go and play golf at some point. And I spoke to Gary, and we played them in pre-season, and we had a really good relationship. We still have got a really good relationship. But I mean, when he was at the club, I never thought he would go into what he's gone into. Never in a million years. Edin, how can I say? Edin was just a guy that loved everything about football. Like, it was his life, really. And like someone that you knew no matter what, he was gonna be in football. Like, and his hunger and his desire and his work rate would get him to that. And I'm gutted for him. I know he lost the league in the last minute, didn't he? At Dortmund, they drew or something, and then the final, the Champions League. I see him actually at a game. I had a good chat with him at Chelsea at the game the other day. And then Enzo, you could tell he was the same. I still speak to Enzo now, and the way he see the game and the way he loved football, and he wanted to he had high ideas and everything. We used to sit and talk for hours about football. You could tell they was going to go on. Scotty was a little bit different. I was a little bit shocked when he first went into it, but now you can see why he does it. But even like the likes of obviously Kevin Nolan that I played with, so many that were fantastic captains and that have gone on to be managers, and it wasn't really what I wanted to do. Do you know what I mean? I wanted
Why
to.
not?
Do you know what, really? And the truth, I don't actually know the answer.
Because you got good people skills. I think that's a big thing for managers.
The truth is, I think it was because I and this, everyone's different, of course, but I give so much to West Ham. So they don't pay enough. Give so much to West Ham, and because I supported the club, and if I was still playing now, we'd be sitting here doing this, and in the back of my mind, I'd be thinking, I need to win on Saturday, mate. We've got Burnley away. We don't win on Saturday. It just took over my life constantly. I love spending time with the family. I love doing my own things. I love, do you know what I mean? So I still work at the club. Obviously, I'm still busy every day, but that manager it's 24 hours. And it's got worse. Years and years ago, you see the manager, didn't you? Get out of the shower, he'd have his trackie on or whatever, or clothes on. He'll have a bit of lunch and go home. It'd be 2:00. Yeah. Now, mate, they're watching videos at 8:00 at night. Do you know what I mean? It's there's no chill.
So what are you up to now then? What's Mark Noble? Obviously, we know what you're doing. You just explain what you're doing, but to chill and get. I see everyone's playing padel. You're a padel man.
I love it.
Are you?
Love it.
I ain't played yet. I'll be unbelievable. I'm a table tennis man, aren't I? I'll be good or not?
Well, obviously your ego says it.
I'll tell myself. I'll talk people out of the game like I did table tennis.
I'll be unbelievable. Never played it.
I reckon I'll beat you.
Mate, your union won't handle it.
No, the back, actually. Do you have to go lower than that?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm out.
No, you know what, though? You're at the net, you'll be unreal at the net because you're height, but it's the best game ever.
Is it? Yeah. I need to get Crouchy as my partner. If I play, I'm playing with Crouchy. I can't play to lose. Me and Crouchy at the net ain't getting past.
Is he good, Crouchy?
He's meant to be really good. Good tennis player, you know?
Yeah.
Mad aces on the serves.
Yeah.
Can you ace on paddle?
Yeah.
Is it? All right.
Yeah.
I need to.
It's harder, obviously, because it's smaller, but it's a lot harder actually to ace. But it's a great game, man.
Is it?
Yeah, great game. I play golf, but I'm at the academy probably four days a week. I watch our games. I watch training. Always trying to learn. Do you know what I mean?
Last one before we go. The guys we were just speaking about, they are new age coaches, younger coaches. What would be the difference between them and someone like a David Moyes, who you'd probably put in the category of the last generation of coaches in the management styles?
I just think the new wave of coaches and managers are so influenced by. Let's get right. It's the Pep model, innit? When he come to, we all knew what he was like at Barcelona, but if you look at the Barcelona team he had when he played against you guys, it was wow,
crazy.
The team built around obviously Messi, but then you had the three midfielders that you just could never ever get the ball.
Let's not talk about it too much. It still hurts me. Still scarred.
You think how great your team was, and you go
got butchered.
It was a different way of playing, and it was wow, everyone loved watching it. And then he brought that to obviously the UK, and everyone was just like, is it going to work in England because he's so rough? And
can he go to Stoke on a Tuesday? You know what I mean?
And then you get 5% possession. And I think he proved to everyone that his philosophy is just has such a massive influence, not only on these coaches that there, but I'm talking the under-12s coaches at West Ham, the under-12s coaches probably at Brighton. The way he's changed the philosophy of the game is amazing.
Well, Mark, listen, man, really appreciate you coming in, mate. I'll see you on the paddle court soon.
You won't.
And good luck with the kids, man, in the academy.
As long as his boxing career went.
That's out of order. I went AJ, by the way, the weekend. Did you go?
Is this mic off?
You don't want to catch a right-hander?
No way.
Wow. Daniel Dubois, though.
No. It was
you have to shout out Daniel Dubois. Wow.
Dubois was...
I didn't see that coming, I swear. My head was in my...
with the heavyweights, you can catch one and it's whoa. But what a performance, man. Just in front of Wembley as well, 90,000.
It was nuts.
Probably stuff. And you always... AJ's obviously had them nights, Klitschko and all that, but for Daniel to
have his night,
that night, it's special.
You're gonna forget that one. Anyway, thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys, for listening to this episode of Rio Reacts. Hope you've enjoyed this show, and if you have, make sure you leave us a review and follow this Rio Ferdinand Presents feed to make sure you never ever miss an episode. If you've got a point you think we should be discussing or want to put us on the spot with a question you want answering, get in touch using the fansfirst@rioferdinandpresents.com email address or use #RFP on social. See ya on the next one.